If y is equal to 5 to the power of x, express 5 to the power of x plus 1 and 5 to the power of 2x in terms of y. Hence, solve 5 to the power of 2x minus 6 times 5 to the power of x plus 1 plus 125 equal to 0, and x is an element of the real number set. So we're going to start off by expressing 5 to the power of x plus 1 and 5 to the power of 2x in terms of y. So 5 to the power of x plus 1 can be broken down to 5 to the power of x multiplied by 5 to the power 1. We're following law 1 of indices to help us with this. And law 1 of indices is a to the power of p multiplied by a to the power of q gives us a to the power of p plus q. So when we're multiplying powers with the same base, we add the powers. But what we're actually doing is using this law in reverse. We're going from a to the power of p plus q to a to the power of p multiplied by a to the power of q. So 5 to the power of x plus 1 becomes 5 to the power of x multiplied by 5 to the power of 1. Now we were told in the question that y is equal to 5 to the power of x, so we literally just swap the 5 to the power of x for a y, and 5 to the power of 1 could be just rewritten as 5. Y multiplied by 5 gives us 5y. So 5 to the power of x plus 1, written in terms of y, which is what we were asked for, is just going to be 5y. Then we need to rewrite 5 to the power of 2x in terms of y. We're going to break up the 2x to give us 5 to the power of x raised to the power of 2. We are using another one of our laws of indices for this. And that is law number 3. A to the power of p raised to the power of q gives us a to the power of p multiplied by q. When we're raising a power to a higher power, we multiply the powers. Now again, just like the last step, we are actually using this rule in reverse. We're going from a to the power of pq to a to the power of p raised to the power of q. So we're breaking up the 2x, and it's going to give us 5 to the power of x raised to the power of 2. Alternatively, we could have rewritten it as 5 to the power of 2 raised to the power of x. But we want 5 to the power of x, because we were told in our question y is equal to 5 to the power of x. So we're going to swap the 5 to the power of x for a y, and it's going to be squared. We bring down the squared, so we end up with y squared. So 5 to the power of 2x, written in terms of y, is going to give us y squared. So we've worked out part 1 and part 2. Now what we have to do is solve 5 to the power of 2x minus 6 times 5 to the power of x plus 1 plus 125 equal to 0. So I've written it out along here, and all I'm going to do is swap the 5 to the power of 2x for a y squared, because that's what I worked out 5 to the power of 2x to be in step 2. I'm going to swap the 5 to the power of x plus 1 for a 5y, because that's what I found 5 to the power of x plus 1 to work out to be in terms of y. I'm going to bring down the minus 6, the plus 125, and the equals 0. So it ends up to be y squared minus 6 multiplied by 5y plus 125 is equal to 0. Then I multiply out the minus 6 by the 5y to give me minus 30y, and I'm left with a quadratic. Now, at this stage I could use my minus b formula or my quadratic formula to solve, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to factorize, and then I'm going to solve. So I'm going to open up two sets of brackets. I'm going to bring down a y in the front of each bracket because I had a y squared. I have a look at my sign here. I see this is a positive, so I know that these two signs are going to be the same. And then I have a look at this sign here, and it's a negative, so I know they're both going to be negative. I have a look at my constant at the end, 125, and I need to choose one of the factor pairs of 125 that when I put them together, they'll give me minus 30. So I'm going to go with minus 5 and minus 25. Because minus 5 times minus 25 gives me plus 125, but minus 5 minus 25 will give me minus 30. And I can multiply this out just to check, am I right? Y by y is y squared, y by minus 25y is minus 25y, minus 5 by y is minus 5y, put them together to get minus 30y, and minus 5 by minus 25 gives me 125. So I've multiplied out my brackets and I've gotten back to my quadratic. So I'm right. Next thing I'm going to do is say, well, if y minus 5 is equal to 0, then y is going to be equal to plus 5. And if y minus 25 is equal to 0, then y is going to be equal to plus 25. So now I have my y values, but I was asked to solve for x. So now I need to find x. So I found y to be equal to 5 or 25. So what I'm going to do is change the 5 and the 25 to a base of 5. 5 can be rewritten as 5 to the power of 1, and 25 can be rewritten as 5 squared. So I was told in my question that y is equal to 5 to the power of x. So I'm going to swap the y for 5 to the power of x, and the 5 for 5 to the power of 1. So I get 5 to the power of x is equal to 5 to the power of 1. I can cross off my base 5 on either side and equate my indices, so I end up with x is equal to 1. I bring down the x, the equals, and the 1, so x is equal to 1. Then I do the same over here. I'm going to swap the y for 5 to the power of x. I'm going to swap the 25 for y squared. I'm going to cancel out my 5s. I'm going to cancel out the bases and equate the indices. I'm going to bring down the x, the equals, and the 2, so x is equal to 2. So I was asked to solve 5 to the power of 2x minus 6 times 5 to the power of x plus 1 plus 125 equal to 0 for x, and I found x to be equal to 1 and x to be equal to 2.